not exactly what I intended. I did not intend to zoom the camera in that much. I don't know why I did that. I guess I need to scooch back a little because I actually dressed up for today. Oh well. I guess I need to figure out how to undo that. Yeah, well, here we are. Happy New Year, party hats. I'm sorry about the green screen. I don't know what's wrong with that today. It was much better the other day. So I had a pretty good night last night. And this morning when I woke up, I was told that not only am I psychic, other people are psychic. The metamorphic field is real. And this game was published like 3 weeks ago, and it details my New Year's Eve exactly. So I had to play it. Confirm, next line, back, open menu. Okay, got it. New game. That's 8. What? Back, save, load, prep. What? Save? Load? No? Save? Save. Back. Auto. That's 8. You take them. I gave Pops a long, hard stare. Couldn't do anything about it even if I tried. Lack of sleep hindered my movements. Something. Every time I tried to smile, I looked like an absolute madman. Don't be like that. A drink? I think I have some Belgian ale lying around in the fridge. That's 9. Please, I'll have to drive later. We were sitting in a smoking area of a furniture workshop, and counting cars that had New Year's trees tied to their roofs, almost like captive beauties to an Aboriginal skewer. New Year's trees? Okay. People only started caring about the holidays right before the eve, so they were selling like hotcakes at a triple price. Some of the beauties had already exposed an inexcusable amount of bare skin. Nicholas chewed on his pipe and let out a thick cloud of smoke. I pushed a fat envelope towards him. It contained 5 years of my labor, 5 years of insomnia, as well as my endless gratitude. Seeing how reluctant he was to accept the money, I laid back in my chair. They're working in the forest again. I saw some equipment near the edge of it recently. Blasphemers. Don't spend too much time outside today. A blizzard is coming. Come on, there's nothing about that in the forecast. The old man held a mysterious pause. Hey, Pops? Do you really believe in it? That's 10, don't ya? No, that's in the realm of fairy tale. Okay, hang on. Let me just... Preferences. Text. Let's slow it down a little. There. Back. I think that slows it down. Do they report on fairy tales often in the press? Pier takes molehills for mountains. It's just your average bear. Reporters will eat up anything, since they can barely scrape together 6 pages. What about the second crew and the third? All of them scared shitless by an average bear? Also, go tell that to those hunks who came in armed to the teeth and came back with their tails between their legs. 11. Well, you lived there, so you tell me. Where were you at the time? I don't understand why they're counting, and it jumped. Is it just me, or did it jump in straight into the middle of the story? I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll figure it out. Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. Hard to tell. Why do you ask? Got it right? I'm just curious. If you bear no ill will, you have nothing to fear. I'm not scared, I'm telling you. I lazily waved the old man away. During my 5 years living in the middle of the forest, I had never encountered anything supernatural, but I did meet a lot of bears. They were the real threat. Will you take it or not? Nicholas ignored my question. 12. You said your mom will be coming for a business trip. Where is she? She's already been in town for 2 days. I hesitated for a moment. Oi, what's wrong? She's always too busy. Do you think there's much work for a lawyer in the country? Hell if I know. We barely talked, even though I called her a number of times. I also have no idea where she's staying. I can't even go pick her up. She said she'll come by a corporate car. I'm tired of this and don't want to seem clingy. She was the one who suggested celebrating New Year's together, though. And I thought she was lonely at first, acted like a happy fool, and I'm convinced it's just her guilty conscience. Hang on, let me just... Square for next line, circle back, triangle for open menu. Don't fret, every parent is lonely without their child. I'm as cold-hearted as they get, but I still miss my offspring. I'll be alright once you meet her. What was it, 13? Then why won't you contact that offspring of yours? Nicholas scratched his beard. My son and his wife, every earthly blessing upon her, are my total opposite. They lack in forest spirits, you see. They abhor living in the wilderness among us rednecks. And I don't intrude. My granddaughter's always more than enough for me. Wonderful lass. Now that's where my blood flows deep. Tomboyish, rebellious, hands of gold. She's around your age. I already knew all of it. I'd been working with Pops for years, and he told me a myriad stories. Half of them involved that girl. Nicholas let out a dreamy sigh. I wonder what she looks like right now. Does she remember riding on Grant's back? Probably. Childhood is the most memorable part of one's life. The old man started reminiscing, but I had no desire to join him. I tapped my finger on the table. 14. Just take it. Cut it out, will you? Be as mad as you like, but I just can't sleep well knowing I have such a huge debt to pay off. Truth be told, my debt to this man was indescribably large, but I was hell-bent on returning the monetary part of it at the very least. The house is a gift. And money is also a gift, and declining a gift on New Year's Eve is, in your own words, a blasphemy. You little bugger. He shot me a look full of distrust, and I fabricated the sorriest expression I could muster. Oh, all right, but not a penny more, you hear? Finally. I heaved a sigh of relief. My last bit of strength left me as the air had left my lungs, and I stopped resembling a human being altogether. I'm sorry, what? I spread all over the chair like an amoeba, half asleep. I guess I'll be celebrating alone this year. Sorry, I promise you, though, as soon as that woman disappears like she always does, I'll bring a box of the best cider I can find, and I'm not gonna leave until we finish it. Who did you just call that woman, you numbskull? I remember picking up a little crybaby who always missed his mommy. What was his name again? Alright, Andrew. Alright, I get it. Don't worry, I have my own business to attend to. On the eve, I'll just get into my old costume and treat the children at the square to some candy. I could hardly part my eyelids. Spruces kept passing by the window, but I'd already lost count of them. 17? 19? Nicholas had also forgotten about our little game. Oh, that's what they were counting. Gotcha. Just don't do anything illegal, okay? I won't be able to get you out of jail tonight. Nicholas burst with laughter. I was ready to be absorbed into the chair, and the only thing keeping me above its surface was a particular feeling I couldn't suppress. Hey, Pops? Thank you. What are you talking about? I mean, seriously, thank you. I went silent for a moment, seemingly embarrassed, then tapped my shoulder. Rest a bit. I'll be sure to wake you up later. You did a damn good job. And at that point, I fell asleep. Oi, baby boy, get up. You should go before it gets dark. It felt like I'd spent at least 2 hours dreaming away. Here, take this, a key to the cellar. It's full of old junk, but you'll also find some holiday stuff there, toys and such, to make your guest happy. We may even strike up a decent conversation while getting the tree all pretty. You may even strike up a decent conversation while getting the tree all pretty. Well then, see you next year. And I took off. The seats felt freezing cold, especially after getting out of that warm, comfy chair. The truck seat was barely enough to save my hands and feet from going numb. From all the places I'd visited in my life, this town, the coldest in the whole country, and full of worn-down huts and small apartment buildings, extended me the warmest of welcomes. Extreme cold was nothing out of the ordinary here. There was a single, somewhat warm month for the entire year, and the other 11 you could characterize as severe frost or freezing cold. People here were hard to read. They seemed rude at first glance, but were actually very open and strong-willed, with boiling blood, as tough as the local weather. They cried and laughed equally loud. They supported and taunted each other, like one close-knit family. And though I mostly spent my time either in the house, in the middle of the forest, or at the old man's workshop, I really liked to visit the market or the hockey field from time to time. They were always crowded, and everything there left an impression of sincerity and hospitality that you won't be able to find anywhere else in the world. Every New Year's Eve, the main and only prominent street was decorated with lights of all sorts, and the storefronts were plastered with paper snowflakes, the kind kids make in kindergarten. A giant tree and an ice town would be set up in the central square, a town that could last for up to half a year, thanks to the cold and the polar nights. Stalls with all sorts of hot drinks and food also grew up around the town, like mushrooms after the rain. The children, along with their not-so-sober parents, rode in reindeer carriages. I was there once with Nicholas, and I'll surely remember that day for the rest of my life, even though it won't be for the whole atmosphere. I live outside of town and spend a whole lot of time in my car, but at least I sleep in a warm bed, much better compared to the cramped shed at the workshop. Nicholas would even sleep in the smoking area, sitting. The road I used every day was called the Bear Trail. It got the name after the incident that occurred 10 years ago when the forest was scheduled for cut down. Something went wrong on day one. Woodcutters were scared off by a ferocious roar, which, if one was to believe them, made the whole forest tremble and broke down their equipment. Someone even claimed to see a giant bear, 6 meters tall. The higher-ups decided the whole crew was drinking too much, so they hired a new one. But they also didn't last long. In the end, the idea of cutting down the forest was put off for an indefinite period of time. That time ended now. Brand new worker housing and equipment could be seen at the forest entrance. Woodcutting crews were smoking outside the canteen while staring at the thickets. And while I was skeptical towards these kinds of tales, I was still somewhat intrigued by them. Like a child who knew Santa Claus wasn't real, but still waited for presents to magically appear under the tree every year. Obviously, Nicholas warned me about everything before handing out the keys to the house. I was a regular guest at his place, and I had never seen this 6 meters tall bear. That's a house. According to my calculations, a bear of this size wouldn't be able to move unhindered in such a thick forest, no less hide in it. Normal bears would be another matter entirely. I met them quite often, so I bought myself a gun. There was one time I had to sit locked up in my car for 2 hours straight. I waited until the bear would stop trying to break into the car and go its own way. I even waited 30 more minutes to make sure it wasn't coming back. I had another such guest today. It was obvious from the tracks still fresh in the snow. Giant paws led straight to my front door. The veranda was empty. I listened closely. There was no unnecessary sound, only spruces crackling from the cold. I threw my gun over the shoulder, snatched the plastic bags, and ran towards the house. The beast was probably still nearby, searching for shelter or food. I had no intention of providing it with either, be it the ham I carried or my own meat. The lock was intact, as was the door, which meant it didn't try to break into the house. Maybe it just went over the rails and continued on. I locked the door from the inside and looked out the window. Caught a glimpse of something moving between the tree trunks in the distance. Quickly persuaded myself that this was the beast disappearing back, and sighed with relief. My numb hands were difficult to control. Magazines and tissues flew into the fireplace. They would be perfect fuel to start the fire. It still took me 5 matches to be successful, though. And in case you're wondering, I have not yet entered the story. This is what happened before he and I met up. My fingers tingled a little. Well, it seemed like I wouldn't lose my hands just yet. My numb hands were difficult to control. Magazines and tissues flew into the fire. Oh, I must have pressed the wrong button. My fingers tingled a little. Well, it seemed like I wouldn't lose my hands just yet. Still some fire left in me. The moment I said that, darkness descended upon me with a clank. I woke up from the pain in the back of my head, and that meant I was knocked out by something heavier than a simple headache. Clang came from my lifesaver in the field of scrambled eggs and fried potatoes. Cast iron frying pan. Someone who uses things like that for not so gentle persuasion certainly doesn't have any good intentions. Trophy earned, unexpected meetings. My vision gradually came back. For a while I couldn't make out a clear silhouette behind the colorful mass, but then I saw a girl crouching before me. Hi, it's me. With a gun in her hands. My gun. I was staring down its barrel, and the girl was staring at me. Intently. Without blinking. Well, not much fire left now. A finger that was clutching the trigger had moved, and I shut my eyes, ready to pass on to the other side. But the shot never came. The girl was hindered by her mittens. The gun constantly slipped out of her hands, and she tried to get a firmer grip on it, risking to blow my head clear off every time she did that. Her eyes were accusing me of some heinous crime, and I felt deeply ashamed, even though I didn't know exactly how I'd wronged her. She kept on being silent. I had no words either. It's pretty cold outside, isn't it? Please don't kill me. Care for some tea? What a way to start the conversation. The ringing in my ear wasn't helping either. Hello? I tried to make the first step. The girl's eyes went wide, but she clutched the gun even harder. Did I do something wrong? I don't know yet. Her voice was full of seething hostility, as if a gun pointed at my face wasn't enough to show her intentions. And you will never know if you shoot me. Do you take me for a murderer? Well, you are pointing a gun at me. I think my statement now just made her furious. And why do you keep that thing pointed at me? I just don't know what to expect from you. I can assure you I didn't plan anything criminal. I just wanted to come back home. And is this the bear corner? I figured it was futile to argue about being interrupted. The name caught my attention. I remembered Nicholas giving the house that name when it was still in the planning phase. That's right. Why do you call it your home? Because I do live here. She stared at me with distrust. Please, would you lower that gun? It'll make the conversation so much more comfortable for both of us. She hesitated for a moment, but then swiftly grabbed the pan and rushed to the other side of the room. No sudden moves. It me. See? Green eyes. Green eyes. It me. Can I at the very least stand up? She curtly nodded, and I slowly stood up. My ears were ringing, and my brain felt like mashed potatoes, even though I couldn't feel any bumps on my head. Now she was eyeing me cautiously. I could move freely and was much larger and stronger than her. I kept my distance so I wouldn't scare her into doing something rash and unreasonable. She didn't look like a thief, or a harmful person in general, but that didn't explain what business she had in these parts. Let's start from the beginning. Name's Andrew. I've been living in this house for 5 years, and today I drove her in my car, unlocked the door with my key, like I always do, and got hit over the head with a frying pan. What's your story? 5 years? Come on, can you at least give me your name? How's that possible? And what about... She sank to the floor, color draining from her face. Can't be. My lady guest gave the room a look over and started crying. I was too late. Her every sob echoed painfully in my head. It was as if my eardrums were being scratched by sandpaper. I tried to gather my thoughts, but they were scattered about like frightened rabbits. I had to give her the credit for still holding on to that frying pan, though. Can I help you in any way? How long ago? No, the previous owner. Where can I find his what? His workshop? She had to squeeze the words out of herself. They were basically drowning in a sea of tears. When I was finally able to piece the puzzle together, it hit me. Too late. She presumed him to be dead. It all made sense now. There was no way a random person could find this house and worry about some stranger. I think there's some sort of misunderstanding. Nicholas is alive and well. He's just not living here anymore. The sobs stopped. Now only hiccups disrupted the silence of the room. I was almost ready to relax, but the house shook from another wave of tears. What a relief. Please stop crying. Everything is fine. I was never taught how to deal with situations like this. How should I calm her down? Did she have some sort of switch for that? A stop word, maybe? Men. I wanted to help her up, but she went completely silent as soon as I took a single step. An eerie silence. Even the hiccups were gone. Keep your distance. I took a step back. She resumed crying. I took a step forward. She went silent once again. You're playing with fire. I'm still the one with the gun. Hey, let's do without threats. I just wanted to help you. It's not a good idea to sit on the cold floor. She sprang to her feet. Now can you move away? As you wish. Not very sociable, are you? I'm not. Not really. Well, sorry for not letting total strangers into my personal space. And from the two of us, I believe you're the one who decided to seclude yourself in the middle of the forest, so who are you to comment on my social skills? I wanted to retort, but my thoughts were cut short by a strange sound. My guest was obviously hungry. You did not hear that, all right. Where do I find Grandpa? Is he in town? He lives in an old workshop. It's on... She shut the door on me. Such poor manners. Did she just up and leave? I checked inside my pockets. The car keys were there. The gun and the pan were also left behind. What a crazy woman. So that's the granddaughter. Mind telling me where you're going? I caught up to her near the fence. To town. No hesitation. You're Julia, right? Nicholas's granddaughter. They changed my name. I don't remember telling you my name. Yeah, it's very nice to meet you as well. Are you stalking me? Just a heads up, you were the one to sneak into my house. You glad it was just me? Why are you following me? Think I owe you an apology? Well, yes. No, that wasn't my intention at all. Alright, sorry I didn't have to attack you there. I was scared, that's all. You did it from behind, with a frying pan. I'm sorry, I really am. I don't need your apologies. Then what do you want? Are you a predator or something? Did you leave your car nearby? No? Actually, I'm not sure. Not sure, okay? Not sure. How will you get to town without it then? On foot? Listen, I don't know how you got here, but we're kind of in the middle of a forest. The town is at least 30 kilometers away, so if you don't come back to the house, there's a high chance you'll get lost. Julia just chuckled in reply. You'll get eaten by a bear or simply freeze to death. I'll be okay. I'm safe here. Why are you so sure? Mysterious silence followed. I turned back. My house was already hidden behind a row of trees. The snowfall was so heavy I couldn't see a thing. It was dangerous to venture any further. Besides, I wasn't wearing much, and the cold started getting to me. Hey, it's not like I know the forest that well, and someone shrieked behind me. Julia slipped up and rolled down a small hill. Neither do you, it seems. She stood up and brushed the snow off her clothes. This trail is supposed to be a shortcut, if I remember correctly. You don't seem extremely confident. Let's get back into the house and think it out. Believe me, traveling on foot is a bad idea. And why should I trust you? Because it's a reasonable thing to do, no? She gave me a scrutinizing look. Let's go. Pops would never forgive me if he knew I let you go. Why Pops? What do you mean? Are you guys close enough for you to call him that? We're colleagues and friends. You should have said that earlier. There was no trace of hostility left in Julia's facial expression. That's who Grandpa's friends with. It was almost as if she was happy to see me now. I'm his only friend, really. Why? I promised to tell you everything, but let's just return to the house first. When I was little, we would always take walks here. There should be a shortcut around here. I don't know where it is, and you don't seem to remember either. Pop said there will be a blizzard, and advised me to be careful. Well, it's not that cold yet. Was she that brave or just plain stubborn? But if Grandpa said there will be a blizzard, we should probably stay inside. Cheers to that. This is just water, by the way. She nodded and flashed me a charming smile. Let's go. Sure, you seem to be hungry. Pizza? I'd love to have some. It was warm and cozy inside. Luckily, I managed to light up the fireplace before getting smacked over the head. You should get closer to the fire, warm yourself up. Quite easy to lose your limbs to hypothermia in these parts. I have this winter hat and these mittens. You're the one neglecting your own health. Well, everything just happened so quickly. I hope you don't mind if I put the gun somewhere more safe. I mean, of course. And I'm really sorry. If I knew you were a friend, I wouldn't have acted that way. Should I write it on my face? The girl laughed. Maybe you should. I took you for a burglar at first. Julia had already taken off her coat and was straightening up her sweater. I was finally able to take a good look at her. She was pretty and, thank heavens, didn't inherit any features from Pops, aside from the eyes. A burglar who comes here by car opens the door with a key and gets inside to warm himself up. How did you decide to arm yourself with a gun? I'm always a bit confused when I come to my senses. Sometimes it makes me do or say strange things. What do you mean, come to your senses? The house hadn't changed much. I assumed Grandpa still lived here and you were a nasty trespasser. It's true that I had no chance to remodel the house, but I was always a bit tight on time. By the way, what do you mean when I come to my senses? Took a pizza from the fridge and shoved it into the microwave. It's a bit complicated. A very long story, so to speak. We have plenty of time on our hands. She heaved a deep sigh. Promise me you won't laugh. I've been sleepwalking since I was 13. I would just go outside and sit down in a random direction. It was a sight to behold for people passing by. And it was impossible to wake me up. Absolutely impossible. So someone would just lead me to a safe place, the police, or the hospital. Nothing to laugh at so far. I can stop if you want. No, please continue. So my parents decided to put me under lock and key. They set up cameras and locked the door to my room. Mom even showed me the records once. I stood in pitch dark and turned the doorknob. It was so spooky. I bet it was. The seizures continued for a while and then suddenly stopped. It seemed like the other me, who was taking control at night, gave up. Seizures? I forgot about my night strolls for a while, as did my parents. My habits returned when I started living alone next October, though. Next October? Last October? This October? I used to wake up in the forest or at the lakeside, a long way from home, sometimes even tens of kilometers away. And now I'm here. And where are you from? Orenburg. What? That Orenburg from the southern border? Really? That's at least 2,000 kilometers away. Is pizza ready? Oh, that's right. I took out the plate and handed it to Julia. She carefully took a slice of pizza and put it in her mouth. It's so hot. No need to rush. So you came all this way from Orenburg. Seems like it. How did you get here? I don't know. What's the date, by the way? December 31st. Julia's mouth went agape, and she dropped the slice she was holding. You must be joking. I swear. Oh God, I was away for a month. Do you really expect me to believe you got here in a month, sleepwalking all the way? My parents must be worried sick. What a disaster. I sighed. Her story was hard to believe. I have to call Mom. I'll say I went to see my friend in the country. No, she of all people would know I have no friends like that. I seem to have lost my phone to boot. My head was splitting open with pain again. You can use mine. Just please calm down. Really? I owe you one. Julia clutched the phone and ran outside, and I finally picked up the plastic bags that were sitting by the front door. Ugh, that chicken was already thawing. I hope Julia won't wander into the forest again. Her muffled voice could be heard from the outside. She was saying something about the boonies, bad reception, and memory loss. I had to call Pops and ask him to pick her up. I'd almost forgotten how busy I was myself, how much I needed done before Mom came to visit, and I didn't even know how soon she was going to come. Got to contact her as well. Julia returned, visibly exhausted. Well, it didn't go that bad. I was able to persuade her that I'm alright. What a nightmare. A month of my life just poof, gone. I bet she was expecting you to come for New Year's Eve. My parents don't celebrate. They don't even set up a tree. They're always going on business trips, so they don't spend that much time home anyway. And that means I'm always home alone during the holidays. I still love that time of year, though. Well, at least it's nice that your mom worries about you. Isn't that true for every mom? Not for mine, at the very least. Julia wanted to say something, but hesitated. She probably had more questions, but was afraid to sound rude, which was rather amusing considering she was the one who stood to smack me with a frying pan just a little while ago. Do you want to call Pops? He'll be delighted to hear from you. Yeah, I probably should. I miss him so much. Wait, what if we surprise him? Wouldn't your presence here be enough of a surprise? I mean, is there a chance I can see him? Out of the question. The trip would take too much time, and I'm expecting guests. Sorry, that was brazen of me. Not as brazen as pointing a gun to my face, though I had to admit her confidence level dropped at least twofold from the fateful moment of our... That's the wrong faith. It's supposed to be fate. Fateful moment of our meeting. Now she just kept on fixing her hair. I was probably too harsh. Not at all. I'd drive you there any other day. You're Nicholas's granddaughter after all. But today, I understand. Julia rubbed her brow. Do you mind if I make a call? No problem. Should I leave? You don't have to. I just need to check on something real quick. Julia nodded. I dialed Mom's number and turned away reflexively. Didn't expect much. I wasn't even sure she'd pick up. I was ready to hang up and shoot her a message when suddenly the call connected. Hello? Hi. Hi. Cold as ever. When will you be coming? Well, as soon as I finish. Got it. Andrew? What? Are you alright? And are you genuinely interested? Everything's fine. Why would you want to spend your holiday with your mom if that's the relationship you have? Be careful on the roof. There's gonna be a blizzard. I dropped the call as she was saying something. This would put her in my shoes for once. Do you really think she'd register? I hid my trembling hands into the pockets and turned back. I was met with a judgmental look on Julia's face. I hope you weren't talking to your mom right now. Oh, are you going to teach me how to deal with my own mother? Seems to me like you hate her. Don't blow it out of proportion, and don't look at me like I'm some sort of monster. You don't have the full picture. I'm only talking about what I see, and I'm more than willing to listen to your side of the story. No, you're talking about something you have absolutely no idea about. Do I look like I need a shoulder to cry on? I'm not going to pity you. She gazed at me intently. I couldn't suppress a nervous smile. As you wish. Seems like it's easier for you to open up to a rock rather than to another human being. Would be a shame to let someone know you can be vulnerable, right? She extended her hand towards me, waiting for the phone. I'll have to do without surprises. What's going on? Am I really that repulsive? Kind of, yes. My relationship with Mom is my own business. Why would I confide in a stranger? I'm even worried. Who cares about what she thinks? I surely don't. Maybe. Some time passed, but Julia wasn't coming back. She was so lively when talking to her mom, but now I couldn't hear a thing. I'd clearly made a mistake. Julia had nothing to do with me and Mom not getting on well. I was straight up rude. She most likely meant no harm. And she had Pops' blood in her. He would also scold me all the time. I hope she won't take everything to heart. Still, that look in her eyes. She despised me so much. Oh, God. She doesn't even know you, dude. The front door opened without a sound. Cold wind made my skin tingle. Julia's face was red for some reason. Everything okay? Yeah, I guess. Sorry, I went a bit too far. I didn't mean to offend you. I'm sorry as well. I should have minded my own business, so it's my own fault. She covered her face with her hand. Something wrong? No. I mean, I'm fine. How's Pops? Did you talk to him? Yeah, you were right. He was delighted to hear from me. Said he'd come as soon as he finishes some business in the workshop. What's the deal this time? I thought we'd finished everything by now. Julia averted her gaze. I didn't pry. Well, anyway, that's good news. If you wish, you could... Can I use your bathroom? Huh? Sorry, it may sound strange, but I don't remember when was the last time I took a shower. It would also be cool to do some laundry. Sure, it's on the second floor. Well, you already know that. Bathrobes and such are in the closet. Fresh towels are on the left, and if you want a hair dryer, I think I'll manage. Sorry for the trouble. She nodded in gratitude and went upstairs, trying to hide the beet-red face under her hair. I shook my head. What happened to her? She didn't want to as much as look at me a minute ago. And now, did Pops tell her something about me? That old geezer gossiping again. I mean, it's not like I wanted her to hate me, and she was acting rather cute. Besides, did she just go shower knowing that there's no one but me in a 50-kilometer area? I'm not some sort of barbarian, but a man nonetheless. Okay, no, not acceptable. Do not make rape jokes. Me being friends with Pops was not a reason to be so relaxed. I also hoped she wouldn't open the bottom drawer. What's in your bottom drawer, buddy? I shooed away any awkward thoughts. I should have offered her a change of clothes. My washing machine could dry, but it would take a lot of time. And I also really wanted to see her in one of my t-shirts. Dude. It was hot inside. I needed to air the room and clean up a bit. I just noticed how messy my place was. It's hard to spot the mess when it gradually grows, but now, looking at it with fresh eyes, I understood the full magnitude of the tragedy. My workplace was buried underneath wood chips. Garbage bags were sitting in my room for ages. I was so used to stepping over them that I no longer noticed them. All of my dishes were in the sink rather than on the shelves, soaking in still water. Wait, was that mold growing over there? I felt disgusted by myself. Good thing my mom wasn't here to witness this nightmare. Started with the kitchen, gathered everything that missed the garbage bin due to my impeccable aim, washed all the dishes, and went over the shelves with a wet cloth. It actually felt quite refreshing. So you're washing the dishes while she's in the shower? I hope you have good water pressure. The dust here seemed to be ages old, even though I was sure I cleaned everything just a month ago. Ugh, you could drown in filth just by being in this house for a while. When I finished cleaning the first floor, my truck's trunk was filled with 8 garbage bags, one of which was strictly filled with plastic bottles. There was much less garbage on the second floor, probably because I rarely visited it, so all I needed to do was get rid of the dust and whip up the pillows. I got to work, and after some time I heard the shower door creak a little. Welcome back. Thanks. You're doing a good job. When I lived here back in the day, we used to boil water specifically to shower. Ah, yeah, the good old days. Every modern household here has their own personal boiler. I see. Did you find everything? Yeah, I knew our washing machine could dry, but never tried it myself. I had to dig the manual for some info. This was bad. She did open the bottom drawer after all. Now that was awkward. What's in the bottom drawer? Julia was blushing again, and I wanted to throw myself out the window. We stood still and studied the floor for what felt like an eternity. Then she finally spoke up. You've been cleaning? A good idea. Can I help you somehow? There's really no need to. Please, I'll have nothing to do until Grandpa comes anyway. At least that way I'll do something useful. I was grateful for her attempt to dispel the awkward atmosphere, so I decided not to protest. Well, it would be great if you could dust the pillows lying in the corner behind the curtains. Julia lifted the curtains. That's my nest. Your nest? I used to drag everything I deemed interesting in here, so my grandpa called me a magpie. In this place he called... My grandma, not grandpa, sorry. In this place she called my nest. This was my bedroom. Isn't it a bit cramped for a bedroom? As if you'd understand. This was a royal chamber for a little girl. So let's get to it. Do you think it's a good idea to go outside just after the shower? Well, it's just for a bit. The clothes dry much faster when you wear them. Pops will blame me if you catch a cold. You act like an old man. What are you, 80? And you look like in your early 20s. Don't tell me you've never jumped into snow after Banya. I never had, as a matter of fact. I gave up. Julia scooped up the pillows and ran downstairs. Isn't Banya Spanish for bath? Hang on. Oh, it's Russian. It's a sauna. Okay. I never had, as a matter... Oh, wrong button. I was rummaging through the closet when I heard strange sounds coming from outside. Julia threw pillows around, beating them against each other, covered them in snow, and kept on sneezing. I could hardly call it dusting, but I couldn't help but smile since she was so enthusiastic about it. And then my phone rang. It was my mom. My teeth clenched involuntarily, as hard as a bear trap. I didn't pick up, but not because I didn't want to talk. Quite the contrary, I wanted to vent everything I was holding in for 8 years. I wanted to shower her with all my anger and spite. I was sure I'd feel better, but I chickened out. I was afraid that I would regret it. Why are you so gloomy? Who called? I didn't notice her come back. Good thing I didn't pick up and she didn't hear what was on my mind. Julia was strangely worried about my problems. Wrong number. You done? Sir, yes, sir. Actually, no. Snowflakes sparkled in her hair. I'll clean up the nest. Promise me you won't go in there until I've finished, okay? Sure thing. She disappeared behind the curtain, humming some unfamiliar tune. I got back to my own duties, and then I heard something crack. What are you doing there, peeling off wallpaper? Mind your own business. That's not so much crack as a rip, but sure. So I shouldn't worry. No reaction. I was going over the shelves when she had finally stopped struggling. Can I go in now? No, not yet. You seem to be finished. And most certainly not. Wait a bit longer. Scrub the floor for now. I stepped on something here. What arrogance. Yet the floor is definitely in need of some scrubbing. That's all. Go in. I looked behind the curtain. Julia was lying on her back, straight. The light from an old lamp was trembling slightly, as if it would die out at any moment. Wow, you lined the pillows. Good job, good job. Come here. She patted the pillow beside her. I shot her a quizzical look. Hey, I'm not suggesting anything strange. Come, lie down. Don't be afraid. I'm not the one who should be afraid. Crawled towards Julia without arguing. Hey, be careful with my hair. Sorry. Are you ready? I shrugged, not exactly sure what to expect. She flicked the switch. Wow! The lights went out, and in a second the oblique ceiling was lit up with a bunch of bright colors. I gasped in surprise. I did peel off the wallpaper, yeah. What's this? How? Fluorescent paint. When I was little, Grandma used to draw with me a lot. This wall, or rather ceiling, became our canvas. Did you know she was an artist? No, Pop's always closes off when he remembers her. Do all men find it so hard to open up? Look, there's a squirrel in the corner. We met in the forest and I drew this on the same day. Looks like a rat. Well, all rodents look alike. And what's up with its tail? Stop it! I was really bad at drawing back then. I still am, to be honest. Julia's drawings were easy to spot, uneven, scrawny, with a lot of unwanted details. And her grandma's were the exact opposite, simple but artsy. And who's this girl riding a bear? You? Julia mumbled something to herself. I don't remember. Maybe. Grandma drew it. Why did you cover them up? Julia sighed. When she died, I couldn't sleep here, so I always went downstairs to Grandpa, who was working through the night to get his mind off things, and put wallpaper over the paintings to ease my pain as well. But I just couldn't force myself to come back. Do you miss her? I see her in my dreams fairly often, even talk to her. Sometimes it's very hard to wake up. Julia sniffled. She did it as quietly as possible, but I was too close to miss it. I could feel the smell wafting from her hair, warm and fuzzy, an aroma unlike any shampoo. Trophy earned, stargazing. Now it's your turn to tell a story. She was trying to be upbeat and cheerful, but her trembling voice gave her away. My turn, huh? What story can I tell? What's up with your mom? Look, it's a very long story. Hey, my 2 stories were fairly long as well. Can't you give me that one in return? 2. When was that? My grandma and my sleepwalking. She was right. I'd heard a lot about Julia even before we met, and now I knew even more. But I was still a complete mystery to her. Okay, I'm gonna just lower the volume a little. It got kinda loud to me. Just one step was perfect. I liked listening to her speak, and it was only fair to return the favor. And sharing my honest thoughts wasn't such a bad idea, was it? Probably. Where do I start? Start from the beginning. How did you 2 meet? What? Oh, it was on a sunny summer day. Julia burst into laughter. The tension hanging in the air was gone in a flash. I had a wonderful family, to be frank. I was sure of it. Such a warm and loving family was very rare among my peers at the time. Dad tried to spend most of his free time with me, and Mom always supported him. I was the happiest boy on the planet. Every day was fantastic, and I couldn't imagine it being any other way. Julia held her breath, listening closely. And then Dad was gone, and the magic atmosphere went away with him. I was 14 at the time. The difficult age. Turned out the boys who weren't as pampered as me matured a lot faster. I was an outcast, too soft and naive. Dad's death became a catalyst for their bullying. Children tend to be cruel, you know. I later understood that they were jealous. They thought I was feeling superior and didn't want to hang out with them since I had my ideal family. And when it became not so ideal, they gloated over it. Did you really feel superior? Maybe. I was extremely proud of my dad. He was an air pilot. Sometimes he picked me up from school right after the landing. He wore his awesome uniform, a coat with 4 golden stripes on its sleeve and a pilot cap. Couldn't be happier at the time. And that may have been the problem. You shouldn't show off your happiness to someone who's less fortunate. And your mom? My mom had basically disappeared. She started working after Dad had passed away. and we would not see each other for weeks sometimes. She came home when I was already in bed, and she went to work when I was still asleep. Okay, why are you upping the volume? I lowered it for a reason. I was only reminded of her presence by the fact that she constantly left some food on the table. I thought that a common grievance would unite us, but it put us farther and farther apart with each passing day. Our relationship was reduced to occasional phone calls and silent weekend breakfasts. I started skipping school because of the bullying. My grades dropped. She was informed of that, but hadn't said a single word to me. And I would have been happy if she had shouted at me or had shown concern in any other way. I stopped trying to get rid of that icky, unpleasant feeling from my memories of the days that grew increasingly sad and lonely. Julia didn't rush me. And then I ran away from home. I didn't plan to, it just turned out that way. One day I came home from school after a good thrashing and called her. I wanted to spill everything to her, wanted to tell on the bullies. I didn't care if the whole school thought I was hiding behind my mom. I wanted her help much more than to stop the bullying itself. She could have at least said something to encourage me. Hang on, let me just... But she just dropped the call. She was probably busy, but I felt so betrayed, knowing that your most precious person didn't have time for you. I left my phone, gathered my things, and took off. How old were you at the time? 16? What happened next? I'd spent a couple of nights at the train station, then signed up for a heaving job. I was lucky to find a company that helped me rent an apartment. After 2 weeks, my boss told me there was a search going on for me. I met with Mom. She asked if everything was alright. She didn't even flinch. And I told her how I felt, that I was much better than before. She gave me my phone, a bit of cash, and left for good. End of story. Well, it's certainly not the end, considering you're waiting for her visits. I don't expect much. Does that have anything to do with your trembling hands? Ah, so you noticed. That wasn't intentional. Well, it may have played a part. Julia was deep in thought, and I was able to finally sigh in relief. It was hard to share personal stuff like this, but it was even harder to keep it pent up inside. I never told Pops the whole story, because that would look unmanly. It would look childish. Nonsense, there's nothing childish about sharing your problems with other people. In fact, being childish is not an offense either. Being an adult is far worse. Oh, so that's why Pops is like that. Like what? Very infantile. I'm glad to hear it, if you're not hinting at Alzheimer's, of course. We both laughed at the same time. You know, sometimes I find it very hard to understand my parents, especially Dad. He never once visited Grandma since the time he left, even when she got sick. He didn't go to the hospital or to her funeral. I thought I would never forgive him for this, but I did eventually. And still, I couldn't quite understand him. And Grandpa didn't say a thing. I'd be furious if I was him. But he was so calm and collected, as if it was the way things were supposed to be. I always thought there would be something adults know that we don't, and as soon as we get that knowledge, we become adults ourselves. A woman child, 23 years of age. Hey, it's rude to remind a lady of her age. You're young and pretty, isn't it the best time for that? She swallowed her words. Was she embarrassed? I think she looks a little blushed right now, right? I wanted to turn my gaze towards her, but my vision was limited by how dim the light was. Anyway, it's not that simple. Julia continued the conversation. When I graduated school, we had a huge fight with Dad. I missed Grandpa and wanted to come here, and he insisted I enter university. I cried a lot and said some really stupid things, but he still heard me out. When I calmed down, he hugged me real tight and said that I was just like my grandma. This was the only time he ever did something like that. He and Mom. He always thought strong emotions to be something unnecessary. I think being like them means being an adult. But at that moment, I just understood how deeply he loved her and how hard it was on him. I mean, everyone has their own way of dealing with grief and showing support. Your mom certainly did care about you, since she was always cooking you breakfasts. And how should she have known you needed her when you didn't even tell her about it once? It's cool when someone can understand you without words, but try to get into her shoes. She was supporting your family by herself after she'd lost her dad. You expected support from her, but you didn't consider she also needed it. Well, she never said anything. And so did you. She organized a search for you. She was worried that something might have happened to you, and you told her you were better off without her. What was she supposed to feel? Her husband passed away, and her only son turned his back on her. It's a miracle she was tough enough to carry that across. Julia's voice trembled a little. My eyes stung a bit. And you should know what it's like to lose someone precious. Then why would you force other people to live through it? Not to mention your own mom. I've never looked at it that way. Try not to say anything you would regret from now on, okay? Yeah. It's a promise then? It's a promise. She sniffled loudly. Good to hear. Julia was about to get up, but I gently touched her shoulder. Let's stay here for a little while. I didn't want her to see my face right now. Julia returned to a spot without arguing. There's also nothing internally wrong with crying, you know. Yeah, I get it. I looked up at the many drawings, and one in particular caught my eyes. Shades of violet and pink, a giant bear, reaching up to the sky, and the forest that was hardly reaching the bear's belly. I felt like it was staring right at me. The silence was broken by sounds coming from Julia's stomach. Oops. Time to go downstairs. You think so? I'd love to chill here some more, but if I don't cook something for you right now, I'll be consumed by guilt. Or you. I crawled my way outside. Julia followed suit. The sun had almost hidden behind the treetops. It's getting dark. Pops should hurt. Your mom as well. There's really going to be a blizzard tonight. To be perfectly honest, there's nothing about that in the forecast. I don't know why Pops decided it's going to happen. It's a bit windy, but nothing to constitute a blizzard. I mean, a blizzard is just a lot of snow, isn't it? It doesn't need to be windy for a blizzard. If Grandpa said it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Why are you so sure? He has a gift. To forecast weather? To see the future. He would beckon me to look out the window sometime, and I did that just to see Aurora Borealis appear right before my eyes. I don't know how I did that to this day, but I don't doubt his words. I smirked. Being so naive at her age was rather cute. Pops could probably tell by his bones aching. Did you know that Aurora Borealis is just solar dust grinding away at our atmosphere? A mighty malicious thing. Did you know you're a complete bore? Good, thank you. Call him out. Insult me some more and you'll be left starving. I'll eat some snow. I would never eat snow. We kept on arguing until we reached the kitchen. It looks very nice now that it's all clean. I only had a couple of pieces of pizza and some pasta with sausages in terms of ready food lying around in the fridge. Other than that, it was stuffed with canned foods, vegetables, and raw meat. Why do you have canned foods in your fridge? Pizza or pasta? Well, let's start with pasta. Start? Come on, I'm practically starving here. Come to think about it, you were wandering for about a month without any food. It's a mystery how you managed to survive. It's my normal diet. A very bold statement. Now that explains everything. What do you mean? The fact that you eat so much, you accumulate nutrition and then use it sparingly. Like a bear? Yeah, don't be shy, eat up. Julia started consuming food with enthusiasm, but her face contorted right away. And what master chef, may I ask, cooked this? It was me, what about it? How in the world did you manage to ruin something so simple as pasta? I scooped up some pasta with a fork. It smelled and tasted ordinary. Seems fine to me. I ate it with no problem at all. Poor creature. It must be tough living your life with no idea how real food tastes. Oh, don't blow it out of proportion. Are you going to cook for your mom as well? Of course. Stop making that face. It's not that bad. Besides, it's not like I'm forcing you to eat it. I'm okay, thank you. I'll at the very least save someone else from the suffering. How nice of you. Just keep in mind, if I get sick, you'll be the one to blame. Or your gluttony. Shut up. Stop speaking with your mouth full. And also, did you know that your metabolism slows down as you age? With eating habits like that, you'll be fat, ugly, and incredibly sick when you get old. Ow! Boring. I rummaged in my pocket and pulled out a key. Right, I almost forgot. What's this? Speak after you chew. Julia grumbled in protest. It's a cellar key. Pops gave it to me a while back. I never knew that cellar even existed. I've never moved any of the furniture here, after all. Julia had finally finished the sausage. Grandma used to store sacks of grain and potatoes there, and pickled vegetables. I hope there's nothing there that was once edible. As far as I know, Pops keeps all sorts of garbage there, New Year trees, ornaments included. Julia's eyes turned big as plates. Now what? Can I help you decorate the house? Please, 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 pretty please. Alright, you're a holidays for children enthusiast. I haven't decorated a New Year tree in ages. I've almost forgotten its smell. There's plenty of them outside. Go have a sniff. Meanie. I thought Pops would pick you up by now, to be honest. I gotta call him. Andrew, my boy, what's up? You coming soon? Did you forget I've got plans for tonight? What are you even doing? Oh, well, I was tinkering with the engine a bit. I'm done now, almost ready to go. You a car mechanic now? I hope you didn't break anything else. If you don't come, your granddaughter here will have to spend the night in the forest. Julia stared at me in utter shock. Yeah, gotcha. And he hung up. Don't look at me like that. It was just a joke. He'll be here in a couple of hours. Strange, I thought he'd be rushing here after hearing about you, but he's not in any sort of hurry. He's trying to match them up. Who knows what business he has? Oh, I know all about his business. He's either sawing trees or smoking in his workshop. That's all the business he can have. Will you ever stop grumbling? It's not even clear when your mom will come. Didn't you want to call her, by the way? I sighed. After my conversation with Julie, I didn't know how to approach Mom and what to say to her. I'll call her in a bit. Probably. No, you have to call right now. I mean, if she called, she might be on her way and lost. Don't be a douche. And why's that? You can't run away from her forever. You hung up on her before, right? It's simple courtesy to call back. Alright, spare me your preaching. I dialed Mom's number, trying to control my trembling fingers. Hey, you coming? There's something wrong with the car. We need to change some parts for spares. So they told me. Should I pick you up? No, I've already found a driver. He's going your way. Huh? Who's that driver? Now don't get in the car of a complete stranger. He looks like a good fellow. Do you think all predators have their intent written all over their face? Send me his plate number for safe measure. Sure, Andrew? What? No, nothing. See you. It's Nicholas, isn't it? Bye. Ended the call. That was close. Julia peered into my eyes triumphantly. Wow, you can be like that too? Bearable? Caring. That was cute. Stop imagining things. It's just ordinary safety concerns. If I'd sent you to Pop's on a taxi, I would have remembered its plate number as well. Could you do that from the very start? No, I'm speaking hypothetically. Taxis don't come here. Her enthusiasm did not waver. Well, since Grandpa and your mom won't be here for a while, I can help you decorate the tree and even cook you something for dinner, if you're a good boy. Pops wanted me to decorate the tree with Mom. To be precise, he wanted me to make my guest happy. He meant my mom, right? It's not like he could have predicted Julia coming here. Duh! Well, if she arrives too late, we may not have enough time to do it. Alright, we'll do it, but let's start with the outside of the house. Why outside first? Well, if we were to believe Pop's forecast, we should hurry up before the blizzard comes. We moved the couch. There indeed was a hatch underneath it. Cold emanated from below. The air felt humid and dusty. The cellar was filled with unfunctioning electronics, furniture, and old boxes. Julia swiftly located the ones we needed and returned the furniture to its rightful place. She opened up one of the boxes in the blink of an eye. There they are. Grandpa used to hang these lights on the roof. It always looked stunning. Do you think I'm not up to the task? Sir, no, sir. It was already pitch black outside. I hoped that Julia would help me hang the lights, but she... Sorry, I don't know where that came from. But she probably thought that making a snowman was a much better idea. I brought out the ladder and climbed up on the roof. The lights themselves were easy to install, so things moved quickly. I was on the other side of the roof in no time. Julia, on the other hand, was so engrossed in playing with snow that she was practically unaware of her surroundings and didn't look my way even once. She was seemingly used to be left to her own devices, judging by how good she was at rolling these giant snowballs all by herself. I wonder how well did she connect with her peers. Did she have a boyfriend? I, for one, was a complete rookie in relationships, never even had a chance. The girls at school avoided me for apparent reasons. The only female that showed me any attention was a lunch lady from a nearby factory, Larissa, who flirted with pretty much anybody. All in all, I was a total virgin. I felt warmth coming from Julia, though, and it didn't look like simple courtesy. I could even believe she was into me. Well, if she looked at me even once. One moment. It just started slipping in the back. But not today, I guess. I'm done here. Look at... I froze in place. While I was deep in thought, a bear had emerged from the forest. Julia didn't notice it, but it did notice her. Oh, looks beautiful. Your mom will surely appreciate the effort. The beast stood up on two legs. A sated bear will do that to show off and warn others to not move closer. You wouldn't find a sated bear walking the forest in winter, though. I took a deep breath and shouted at the top of my lungs. Julia, run! Trophy earned, a friendly bear. She sprung to action and got up the ladder in a blink, and the bear just stood there, unmoving. I threw off the ladder so it couldn't climb up. What's there? Julia shot the bear a quizzical look. It studied us for a couple of minutes, tilting its head to different angles, and then just turned its back on us and strolled into the forest, almost as if we were unworthy of its attention. Phew, what a close call. You scared me to death. Should have told me it was just a bear. Just a bear? Are you out of your mind? He would have swallowed you whole. Nonsense. Well, tell me then, what were you so afraid of? I thought it was the forest witch. Huh? The forest witch. When I was little, Grandma told me there was a witch in the forest. A witch that killed birds and beasts and drank their blood to prolong her own life. Are you dumb? How can you believe in such a fairy tale? One moment. Sorry. But it's true. I even saw her once. How old were you? 5? Little kid's imagination can take a rotten tree for an old person. She wasn't old at all. Julia's stomach reminded of itself just at the right moment. Hungry again? No, it's your pasta talking. And what's up with that snowman's attire? Where did you get that? I found it lying around. Now tell me, where's the ladder? What a moron. She definitely did not like me now. I don't want to hear that from someone who believes in forest witches. And you are a genius who decided to get rid of our means to get down. What do we do now? The window's locked from the other side. Well, we can always jump. But it's so high, I'm scared. Well, if he jumps, he can put the ladder back up. I just can't understand you. I tried, I really did. How can you be scared of forest witches and such small heights, but not bears? And how weren't you scared of going into the forest at minus 30 Celsius? And why did you even climb here when you could have just ran out into the house? See, I feel a lot safer around you. My heart skipped a beat. Stop it. Stop what? Stop being so cute, please. You think I'm cute? You're as cute as you're weird. You say it like I'm the biggest weirdo on the planet. I didn't say that. Let's see. I'll jump down and bring back the ladder, okay? I landed in the snow without incident, got the ladder back up. Julia sheepishly placed her foot on one of the ladder planks, again and again. On the fourth plank, her foot slipped. Watch out! I stretched out my hands reflexively, and Julia landed right in my grasp. It's all right, you're in safe hands. Thank you. She blushed, but didn't avert her gaze. I couldn't believe how light she was. I have a question I just need to ask. Sure. Can you promise to answer honestly? She nodded and held her breath. Where did all the weight you had been accumulating for years go? Congratulations, you've won a medal. She jumped off the ground. What kind? For ruining a perfect moment. What do you... I was interrupted by a noise coming from the road. Someone's car. I doubted it was Pops or my mom. They couldn't have been here this fast. Julia seemed to think the same. So soon? She almost sounded sad. The noise was becoming louder. Windows in my house started shuddering. This was too loud. It wasn't a normal car, and there seemed to be a lot of them. No one had turned our way, though. I wonder how much they were paid to work on New Year's Eve. What was that? This forest is due to be cut down. They finally got to work, it seems. Impossible. This forest shouldn't be disturbed. Just this forest. I mean, I don't like that idea, but why this particular forest? You'd laugh at me again if I told you. I only tend to laugh at extremely childish beliefs. I see. It's because a bear spirit lives here, right? You know about it? This girl is just... The whole town knows. I bet you don't believe in it, but that's okay. Did you see it as well? I didn't, but it definitely exists. This means there's a higher chance to meet a forest witch than a bear spirit around these parts. Julia shot me a mysterious smile. So cute, I won't even try to change your mind. And if that'll calm you down, Pops is sure nothing's going to happen to the forest. The bear spirit will come and save the day, like it always does. Grandpa said so it's going to happen. Let me guess, because he can see the future? It's one of the reasons. Test my faith all you want, you mean-spirited skeptic. I will not budge. Wasn't my intention at all. By the way, what about the tree? Found a really good one at the backyard. Come in, I'll join you soon. Apart from all the racket from logging trucks, it was incredibly quiet outside. Even the air felt softer. It was either the calm before the storm or Pops was wrong with his prediction. I carried the tree inside the house and was met with a surprise. Julia was glowing like a rainbow, wrapped in countless lights. Do I look pretty? Very much so. I'm especially interested in what brand your earrings are. Where did you get them? Found them lying around. How old are you again? It's a secret. Julia burst into laughter. She didn't look like an adult before, but now she was behaving like a mischievous little girl. Will we decorate the tree, or are you going to spend the rest of your life in these boxes? Wait, there's so many cool things in them. Fireworks, a whole box of them. You can't decorate a tree with that. But you can fire them. You're too old, probably past the expiration date. You're such a what? Skeptic, pessimist. It's very nice to meet you. Fireworks have no expiration date, none at all. I mean, gunpowder does go weird. They spend so much time in that solid, they're probably wet on the inside, so they definitely won't fire. You're boring me to sleep. No harm in trying, you know. I mean, if they hit the wrong way because they're old and wet, they could burn down the house, but sure. I sighed. Fine, we can try them, but let's do it later, okay? I brought the tree after all. But there's still so many... Oh, what now? I replied in an unexpectedly rude manner. My voice expressed much more irritation than I actually felt. Julia, who just now was brighter than a full-blown New Year's tree, shifted to dark mood. She looked at me with disappointment and turned away. It's nothing. A lump of guilt was stuck in my throat. I'm genuinely interested. Doesn't matter. What's that? Books? Julia looked at me with doubtful eyes. My childhood photos, books, and Grandma's notebooks. Can I take a look? Do you like little girls? Who do you take me for? I meant the notebooks. Grandma was a skilled artist. Oh. Besides, I've already seen plenty of your childhood photos. Pervert. It's not like I asked for it. Pop just likes bragging about you. Julia handed me a small leather-bound tome. A sign depicting half of a spruce was inscribed on the front cover. I skimmed through the book. There was a lot of text, but not so much in terms of drawings. It's all handwritten. It looks more like a diary. I'd call it a collection of our land's legends. Grandma did it all by herself. I'll make sure to read it later, alright? Otherwise we won't be able to decorate our tree in time. Yeah, I can't sit still. I'm sorry. I've got everything covered in that regard. Julia took the task as seriously as possible. She was meticulous in picking the toys and where to put them on a tree. She could spend up to 5 minutes placing one. And if that place was too high for her, I would be the one to place it. Oh, not there. But I followed your directions. Put it a bit to the left. Now that's it. By the way, have you ever decorated a New Year's tree with your family? Every single year until Dad passed away. He absolutely loved the winter holidays. So we would always set up the tree in early December and would only get rid of it at the end of January. It was a lot of fun. What was the most fun about it? When I was a kid, Dad would always put me on his shoulder so I could place the star, the main piece of decoration, by myself. I was always horrible at it, and Mom always fixed it, thinking I wouldn't notice. We also shared a hobby with Dad, collecting aircraft models made of plastic and wood. I had a vast collection in my room, from huge to very small, and the tiniest of them we would use as toys for our tree. Mom would make us cheesecakes with hot chocolates, and we would wolf them down while decorating. Ooh, hot chocolates. Now I want a hot chocolate. We'll get that one after the stream. Sounds awesome. And what about you? I mean, from the time you used to live here, we would camp out with Grandpa to get the tree. Camp out? You have plenty of trees in your backyard. Julia's eyes became dreamy. We looked for the finest spruce in the whole forest. That was our goal. Grandma would prepare our backpacks. We even took a tent with us. We traversed the forest for hours, and when we got tired, set up a fireplace and roasted sausages. It felt like a genuine adventure where I was an explorer, following his guide to unknown lands. We even spent the night under the open sky once. We had too little energy to come back. And what about bears? We met them from time to time, but they never attack us. How in the world? Because of Grandpa. Huh? Does he have some sort of special aura? Something like that. I think he's the forest's guardian. And don't make that face. Read Grandma's book first. Alright. Please continue. When we eventually found the right tree, Grandpa would cut it down, tie it to his back, and we would go home. We always returned really quick. It seemed like magic to me back then. Now I understand we were just going in circles around the house the whole time. That old trickster. It was such a grand adventure for me every time. When we arrived home, Grandma would always claim she lost the cellar key and we went searching for it together. It was a New Year's festival designed for me and me alone. I sure loved you a lot. I know, right? And then we decorated the tree together. I was very small, so I could only hand the toys over to Grandpa, just like with you today. I told him where the toys should go, and he would always misplace them. I would always make a fuss about it, and he would pick me up so I could do it myself. Childhood is a magical time. And one's parents are their personal magicians. Judging by what you told me, your whole family consists of mystic creatures. Hey, stop that. Alright. I think you'll make a wonderful magician yourself someday. Aw, that's cute. Julia showed me an embarrassed smile and flicked some hair behind her ear. You really think so? I do. I also felt heat rise up in my cheeks. It's a bit embarrassing? Sorry. It's okay. To be honest, it made me a bit happier. And that's it for the tree, I think. You don't seem too happy. We were done too fast. You know, when I have a giant family, I'd place a huge fluffy tree in the middle of the room and buy a ton of toys, so the decorating process would take up the entire evening until there's no space left on the tree. Sounds like a plan, but how can you be sure your family will be giant? Will you even have a family? Julia shrugged. I just know it. Pops his powers again? Shut up. Sure, we can strip down the tree if you want, or we can stop dilly-dallying and take care of the second floor. Do you mind if I turn on the radio? Do you like music, or am I that boring? Who doesn't like music? Is it just me, or are you dodging the question? I don't really like music for once. So why do you own a guitar? I don't believe you. No, really, check my car radio. There are no saved stations there. And what about the guitar? Ha! Not mine. You're the most boring person I've ever met, and a liar. You're hurting my feelings. However, have you actually met that many people in your life? You got me there. Julia scrolled the stations until she stumbled upon one that was playing the holiday tunes. Now that's what I'm talking about. Now we'll be bored to death accompanied by holiday songs. Hooray! You always keep on grumbling. You must be at least 60 psychologically. And what about you? Around 8? 15. Wonderful. Tell me, have you never thought of having a family yourself? I can hardly look after one set of limbs. How do you expect me to take care of kids? Why jump straight to kids? 2 adults can also be a family. Start with a relationship, maybe. Why do you think I'm not in one at the moment? Just a hunch. Am I wrong? No, but it still hurts a fair bit. You're going to celebrate New Year's with your mom, after all, not your girlfriend. We all have our reasons. Your house is a bachelor's den. You don't have to live together, do you? And you have foul character. Like you're the one to talk. You're a liar, a bore, you grumble like an old man. Hey, calm down here, young lady. Just a second. Let me just... Sorry about that. I mean, even that doesn't stop millions of insufferable people around the world to find their partner. And you're still single. Are you by any chance homosexual? I'm not. And cut it out already. Do you think gay people can't find themselves a partner? Who knows? Maybe you just didn't come out of your closet yet and live in conflict with yourself. I'm just a loner. Let's stop at that. A girl broke your heart, so you decided to ditch relationships as a whole and never had a girlfriend. Never ever? Never ever. Even at school? At no point in my life. And have you ever thought of having one? Are girls pets to you? I mean, it's not like I don't like the prospect, it's just I haven't met the right one yet. The right one for your standards? The right one for me. And what about you? Is your fiance waiting in Orenburg? I'm not that different from you in that regard. I've never had a boyfriend. Even at school? Don't be mean. I hardly attended school, so yeah, even there. Why? Well, Grandma homeschooled me when I was living here, so I started going to normal school when I was 13, after my parents took me back. I was expelled after a couple of weeks. Are you joking? I wish I was. This sounds like an interesting story to hear. I nodded off in geography class. They don't expel you for that. While I was asleep, my body went out the window. The classroom was on the second floor. I fell and broke my leg, but even that didn't wake me up. I walked 2 bus stops worth of distance before my parents found me. I stared at Julia in horror and disbelief. That's exactly the same look my teacher gave me back then. I'd spent a month in the hospital with my broken legs, and the principal kindly asked my parents to not send me back to school. Their staff didn't exactly know what to do in situations like that, and so on. I was also apparently a bad influence on my classmates. Sorry. I wanted to look nice for the stream, And then I fucked up the camera, so now you can't tell, but I'm wearing a dress, and I'm wearing a necklace, and I put on all this makeup, and a party hat. But since I'm yawning because I'm a little cold, I'm just gonna put this on. I will figure out the camera for next stream. Let me just try not to knock my hat off. I don't know what I did. I don't know how that happened. But I did figure out the green screen a little more. It's still not perfect though. I continued homeschooling, but from that point on, I was taught by strangers. Everybody was probably worried sick about you. I can imagine how it looked, a schoolgirl in an tattered uniform walking down the street, dragging her broken foot with a blank look in her eyes, like something out of a zombie movie. I can understand what they felt, but it's still painful. After I moved away from Grandpa, my only hope was to be able to go to school like everyone else. I expected to make friends, to exchange little messages with them in class, to hang out after school, to go camping or watch movies together, to gossip about boys and have sleepovers. Maybe I would even get my first love letter there, and they would ask me for a prom dance. And maybe I'd even have my first kiss. It feels weird to talk about that now. It's all in the past, but I can't shake off the thought that I missed something really important, something that I won't have a second chance at in my life. Well, there's no guarantee everything would have gone according to your plan anyways. I don't have any warm memories of my classmates, even though I spent a good 11 years with them. And the girls, you know, they can be even scarier than boys. They're extremely jealous. They'll ruin your life without flinching just because you're smarter or more well-liked by boys. Maybe it's a blessing you avoided all of that. It's better to regret something you've done than to regret something you wish you'd done. A cheerful jingle changed to a slow dance tune. Wanna dance? The word slipped out of my mouth before I could think. What did I just say now? I wanted to disappear from embarrassment. My cheeks were so hot you could probably fry stuff on them. I do. Her face was as red as mine. I bet we'd both feel much more relaxed if I just ran into the forest and didn't come back. Ever. I held out my hand. It was shaking so hard it was almost uncontrollable. Julia didn't seem scared or confused. She gently touched the palm of my hand, and the shaking subdued. He's a lot taller than her, and they look like they're like 14 in this picture. I hope you won't regret it. It was my first time being this intimate with a girl. We were so close I could make out every single hair on her head. Julia didn't look up at me, but I could feel the warmth coming from her face. See, you don't need to go to school to have your prom dance. Yeah. And it's not the only place to look for friends. My voice was naturally low and silent. Julia was also speaking quietly, but I could hear her every word. That's why you're friends with an older hermit? Well, it just turned out that way. Okay, I need to lower the music again. I don't know why they insist on increasing it. We're both not the most experienced in the matter, but you should know it's hard to find friends or your most important person. I bet a lot of guys would love to go out with you. You're rather beautiful. You're not ugly yourself. Well, thank you. That's not it. What do you mean? We're not looking for people who need us. We're looking for the ones we need. It makes no difference if someone's interested in you and the feeling is mutual. Many would argue with that, but you won't. The aroma wafting from her hair made me feel a bit dizzy. I mean, it's either your own shampoo or just her natural scent, but it's kind of creepy the way you say it that way. I miraculously avoided stepping on Julia's feet, a dazzling success for my first time dancing. Felt like we moved around the same spot for eternity. And I'd love to do it some more, if only I hadn't discovered that the song was long over, and with it the ephemeral atmosphere of sincerity. We exchanged awkward glances and got back to decorating the room. After finishing with that, we returned to the first floor. Julia went straight to the fridge and poked her head inside like she owned the place. Well, it's not much. Aren't you expecting guests? Just a single guest. She's not coming here to have a cup of tea, you know. It's not like you have anything to go with tea anyways. And I think you just don't know how much a normal person eats. Cheapskate. Where'd you get that from? And there's enough to feed 8 people there. Alright, I'll think of something. Just don't disturb me. Gladly promised I won't interrupt her or even go inside the kitchen while she cooks. Well, what was I supposed to do in the meantime? I thought of working, but quickly decided against the idea. It would be wasteful to disturb the order of my workplace. I grabbed the book with the Tales of the North instead. This book is a collection of stories on existing creatures. The mediator is to be tasked with refreshing the knowledge every 50 years. Isn't that a bit serious for a preface? Did you say something? Do you know who the mediator is? No, what about it? Nothing, was just curious. The first creature in the book was the forest witch, Yoma, living in a hut deep inside the forest. She used to eat human children, but the great Osh later prohibited that, threatening to drive her out the woods. The witch reluctantly agreed and started catching beasts and birds to use their bloods and vitality potions to prolong her life. There was a drawing depicting a tall, slim lady with a very keen look. Her age was impossible to identify. The witch looks almost like Baba Yaga, a lot more beautiful though. Like who? Baba Yaga, you know the crone who lives in a hut on chicken legs? What's that nonsense? Julia looked at me like I was an idiot. Come on, she's from a classic fairy tale. Have you really never heard of her? Was I supposed to? Parents scare the children with her all the time. It's also a creature in Alan Wake and a bunch of other games. I think she's in one of the Witcher games too. My Nolan told me about the forest witch. I have a couple of questions for your grandpa then. But I can understand why he feared her so much. This stare would make the blood freeze in one's veins. And we have your grandma to thank for that. Drawing her in such a way was completely unnecessary. The witch was even scarier in the old version. The old version? Grandma didn't make up these stories. She took them from another book. It was quite battered, so she decided to rewrite it. I flipped through a couple more pages. Leshy and Domovoy were continuing the list, but I already knew of them thanks to Slavic folklore, so I put the book away. I can't seriously believe in all of that. Have you read the part about the forest spirits? The household one or the water one? About Osh. I've decided to leave that magnificent experience for later. Well, it's your loss. By the way, which salads should I make? Why even make them? I don't eat salads. And why have you bought the vegetables? I eat them raw. They're more useful that way. Okay, that translation bugs the heck out of me because a salad is most likely still raw. It's just like blended. Oh, hang on a moment. Sorry about that. You eat them raw because you're bad at cooking. As you wish. And you can't only be thinking about yourself. What if your mom likes salads? Does she? I don't know. I don't remember. Ask about your grandpa though and I'll answer right away. Just he's my grandpa, not yours. And don't forget you promised to tell me everything about him. I don't even know how you met each other. You didn't ask. I'm asking now. Picked me up off the street, saved me from starvation. I thought you found yourself a decent job after you'd left home. True, when work ran out in one place I would get reassigned to another town, and then to another, and so on. I had visited half the country, and then I got here. I was promised bad living conditions and good pay, but I was given neither. As soon as I got here, the facility went under, and a lot of people were left without a job. Local folk knew their way around here and were fast to find new jobs, but strangers like me had nowhere to turn to. I had been renting an apartment for some time. looking for a job. And then I found my suitcase before the door. Turned out that my landlady was renting an apartment of her wandering son, and while he came back, I got my suitcase, but all my money stayed in his pockets. It's quite ironic. Was I to keep my job then, I would have been among these woodcutters. Nothing ironic about that. What happened next? Did Grandpa find you then? Almost. I'd spent a whole day in the bus stop. I was exhausted, thought the whole world turned against me. I was in this cold land without a job, without a place to live, without any money. I gave up. But the cold was too strong, so when the night fell, I started looking for ways to warm myself. Hi! And Happy New Year to you too. I hope it will be better. I burned random trash and my own belongings. It helped, but not for long. When I ran out of things to burn, I stumbled upon Pops' workshop. I didn't care if what I did was right or wrong. I simply broke in, and Pops found me in the morning, lying on the floor near the fireplace. He gave me two options. Either he reports me to the police, and they take me to a place where they feed you with cow poo-poo, as he put it, or he teaches me his craft, and I help him out around the workshop. I gave my answer almost immediately. Grandpa amazes me more and more. Did she remind you of that incident regularly? He never once did, actually. Couldn't understand why he gave me a chance in the first place. Every time I asked him, he waved me away and told me I should just live my life and don't sweat the small stuff. We drank together once, and he went overboard, so much he could hardly sit upright. Pops probably doesn't remember this, but before he knocked himself out, he managed to say that he was very happy to find me in the smoking area that morning. I didn't pry anymore. We're very similar in that regard. It's hard for us to share our real problems. Well, now I understand some things without words, at least. I think you're a very good person. Hey, are you crying? It's the onion. Come on, cut it out. Julia staggered and used the table for support. What's wrong? Are you alright? Yes, just felt a bit drowsy. Maybe you should lie down. I'm fine, don't worry. Well, okay. Tell me more about Grandpa. Sirens. I had to bail him out of jail once. He somehow thought it would be a good idea to wander around a mosque in a Santa Claus costume on New Year's Eve. I churned out one story after another while Julia was cooking, and as it turned out, my life became much more lively over the last couple of years. All thanks to Pops, who'd laugh at getting his tooth beaten out or at the dove droppings on his truck windshield. I did. I had a 2-star dinner with a friend from a dinner from a 2-star Michelin restaurant, and then we played co-op Left 4 Dead with a few other people, and then I just hung out at home, video chatted with a friend for a little bit, and watched the fireworks. So it was nice. Not a big deal. I was actually watching a stream just before midnight, and Left 4 Dead. Let me just... Oh, green screen. It's a zombie game from 2008. I think it was one of the first games ever released on Steam, or Valve's first game or something like that. I'm not sure. But it's a co-op zombie roguelike thing. I don't know if it has a main story. I only played I only played the co-op. Oh, that sounds nice. Did you toast together, or did you just... I don't know if you drink or not. I didn't want to open a bottle of bubbly when I was home alone, so I just had a whiskey instead. Toasted with someone over video chat. because I didn't want to, take the bus home in the middle of the night. So after the dinner with my friend, I went home. He always stayed positive and managed to cheer me up. Sometimes it was almost like he could read my thoughts. That's how good he was at understanding me. Okay. I don't know who Kat is. Is it your girlfriend, your wife? I don't think you've talked about her. I, on the other hand, only knew things he deemed worthy of telling me, and these things mostly had to do with his granddaughter. The rare moments of sincerity always came in his drunken slumber. They were always unexpected, and I didn't know how to react. Julia listened closely, like she relived every story with me, and when I got tired of monologuing, she spoke up. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that I know who she is. So what's up with the guitar? Is it yours? Then whose if not yours or Grandpa's? You have no other friends, after all. Don't touch my sore spot. It makes it Pops' then. Don't lie, he never ever even played a music instrument. It's impossible to hide anything from you. I'd love to hear you play. I haven't touched it in a while, so... Your choice, the guitar or potatoes? Potatoes, if it involves eating them. Peeling. Give me just a moment. I picked up the guitar, blew off the dust, tugged on the strings, fiddled with tuning keys. Do you really call it tuning keys on a guitar? Did everything to waste time. I didn't want to make a fool of myself before Julia. Come on, play. Trophy earned, shared moments. I pressed down the strings and my thumb screamed in pain. Blisters from regular practice were already long gone, so it hurt like the first time. I tried to keep it simple and just plucked at the strings, but that was enough for Julia. She relaxed and swayed with the music, mumbling something under her nose. Under her nose? That's not the expression. Under her breath, right? I was calm for the first time in a while. I felt her eyes on me from time to time, but when I looked up, she was doing her own thing without looking my way. The house was filled with the scent of boiled potatoes and fried chicken, the scent of my childhood New Year's days. Julia noticed me sniffing around. Let me introduce you, that's the smell of edible food. It's very nice to meet you, edible food. Saliva filled my mouth. I suddenly remembered that I hadn't eaten for a very long time. My hunger went away for a while because of recent events, but it was slowly coming back now. Julia was keen for my interest. Wait for a bit, your mom will arrive shortly. That was strange. I don't know who that is. I don't recognize him, so this is just like a dude to me. But maybe he's inspired by him. I don't know much about the game. I just saw it a few days ago and, well, a few weeks ago at this point, and saw that it was about New Year's Eve and thought it would be perfect to play today. Wait for a bit. Your mom will arrive soon. You'll share this meal with her. Did you learn cooking by yourself? Grandma taught me. Tell me something about her. Pops keeps his mouth shut all the time. She was cool and could seemingly do everything. She could cook, draw, sing. And how did she meet Pops? Oh, it's a funny story. Grandpa worked as a driver. One day he was tasked with driving a mayor's daughter to another city. And this daughter was your grandma? Yes. Grandpa suddenly stopped the engine during the trick. Well, it broke down, he said. Polar night, not a single soul in the vicinity. Horrible cold. Grandma panicked and he just replied, well, the laborers will drive by in the morning. They'll pick us up. But we have to keep ourselves warm, and if we fall asleep, we'll freeze to death. So they just sat there all night talking, and come morning, he told her that the car was absolutely fine. I mean, that's basically holding her hostage, though, so that's not entirely okay. Grandma complained to her father after it was over, and he didn't have to think twice. Just used his connections to throw Grandpa in jail. But Grandma took a liking to the driver, so she begged her father to release him. Then why tell him in the first place? It's called the Stockholm Syndrome. Don't act so smart. And did they release Pops? Not immediately. The father told her she would need to ask him once more in 2 months, then he'll do it. Sounds legit. Of course, Grandma came back in 2 months with the same request, and then they built this house and lived here together until Grandma died. Knowing Pops, this story is quite easy to believe, but I still don't get why he keeps on getting in trouble all the time. How does he think these things up? I mean, does he ever hesitate? He certainly didn't hesitate that time. He knew it would happen because he'd seen it in a dream. He knew he's destined to meet the girl he would love till the end of his days. And he also knew that no harm would come from him stopping the engine. He knew that it was necessary to spend a couple of months in jail and that the girl would bail him out. He knew everything. You can't take dreams that seriously. You just haven't seen pathetic dreams. You're romanticizing it. Julia kept on swaying and almost fell. Good thing the fridge was behind her. What's wrong? I don't feel so good. Tired? Don't know. Here, sit. I checked the oven and led Julia by the hand towards the sofa. I'm so dizzy. A gust of wind shook the windows. And there's the promised blizzard. Are you an old red lady reacting to weather like that? I'm not sure. It feels like all the strength just left my body. Hey, keep it together, please. What would I say to Pops? I need to rest for a bit. Get a wink of sleep. I sat on the floor beside the fireplace. Sure, what was that thing I needed to read about? Osh, the forest spirits. Okay. I found the right page without trouble. The entry was much larger compared to the other creatures. For some reason, I started reading it aloud. Osh is the forest's guardian spirit in the form of a bear. In ancient times, he, the son of god Ina, disobeyed his father and descended upon earth. Why is he wearing a... Why is he looking like a woman if he's a she? If he's a he? Is he non-binary? I'm confused. Disobeyed his father and descended upon earth, tempted by the local food and women. As a punishment, Ina forbade him to ever return to the heavens, and Osh settled down in the forest, where things to feast on were plentiful. By taking human form, he could visit villages to get food. Once in a century, he picked a woman and took her to the forest. One night under the full moon was enough to bind his chosen to Osh, so she would guard the northern forests alongside him. Wait a minute. One night under full moon. Is Grandpa Osh? Osh knows the animal language, can see the future, and wields healing magic. Some of his abilities can be passed down to his children. Nowadays, Osh lies in endless slumber, guarding the entrance to the Shadow Realm. However, the forest is never left unguarded. At the start of each cycle, the bear marks a new guardian with the forest spirit, and they keep watch until they're no longer capable of it. Until they're no longer capable. Sounds like a job without pay that you can't ditch. And why do you think that Pops is said guardian? You can see the future, and if it wasn't him who stood up for the forest 10 years ago, then who? Besides, he and Grandma's stories? That's just something you really want to believe in. I'll admit there are a lot of coincidences, almost enough to convince me. Seriously. And you only believe in what you see, don't you? I guess so. and we just have to visit that place. No, I think it's just a Russian folklore game. Julia let out a big yawn. Should go there and see for ourselves. You can hardly keep your eyes open. I'll just lie down for 10 minutes, and I'll be as good as new. Without realizing it, Julia reduced her voice to a whisper. Sleep until Pops gets here. But I don't want to. She acted like a spoiled kid. As you wish, I'll go get you a blanket. I went upstairs. Having someone to take care of was unexpectedly pleasant. There hadn't been a single soul in this house apart from me for a good while, and I was sure that I had no need for company. Julia's appearance did not bring any discomfort into my life. Quite the contrary. It was hard to imagine living without her, and to think Pops will take her away so soon. I wanted the time to stop. I'd love to play the guitar for her, while she would be dancing and singing along. I'd talk to her about anything in the world. We'd decorate the tree together again. I'd read her books. I concluded that letting her go was an awful idea, and perhaps asking her and Pops to join the celebration would be a better one. The more the merrier, and that surely would make the atmosphere less awkward between me and Mom. Though they certainly deserve their fair share of time in privacy. And I should also have a tete-a-tete conversation with Mom. Probably. One moment. I just need a sip of water. I went back downstairs to ask Julie if she wanted to stay, since she cooked enough for a platoon of hungry soldiers, and you couldn't possibly eat that much with just 2 people. But she was not there. Oh no, she's sleepwalking again. She was neither beside the fireplace nor was she in the kitchen. There weren't many places where we could miss each other in this house. She was gone. The blanket was lying on the floor, and her outside clothes were where she left them. I grabbed my coat and ran outside. The wind was so strong it made me stagger, and my face and neck were tingling from the cold. There were barely recognizable footprints in the snow, and I rushed after them before they would be completely covered by snow. The problem was I couldn't see Julia anywhere. Where would she go in such weather without her warm clothes? Then it hit me, another set of sleepwalking. But even then, why the hell would she venture into the forest late at night? If her initial goal was to get here. The farther I got from the house, the harder it became to see the print. It might have been due to dim lighting, but they started looking almost inhuman at some point. What if I had already lost track of her and was following some beast instead? After a couple more meters, the prints vanished altogether. I continued at random, scooping up snow with my boots and drowning in the snow. She'd freeze to death if I don't find her. The forest creaked. I thought that woodcutters were supposed to be in another direction. The creaking of falling trees were echoing from everywhere. Howling cries could also be heard nearby. Okay, hang on. Let me just lower the music again. Okay, I just need to. That is really loud. I think there's something wrong with the way the music's programmed. Wolves. Wolves always move in packs. I sped up. My fingers were red and it was hard to move them. I couldn't even clench my fists. I swung my hands all over the place to keep the little warmth still left in my body, but it only made things worse. It was hard to tell how far I went from the house, but I couldn't return there alone without Julia. When I was ready to cross the road and search on the other side, I felt a push through the chest. I looked around but couldn't see anything. My vision went completely dark. Uh-oh. Some sort of sigil burned up right before my eyes. It took me a moment to process. The sigil was carved into the tree. A chain reaction followed, and all the surrounding trees lit up at the same time. Another moment, and the night sky was shining with waves of lights. It was as bright as daylight. I didn't have time to think, so I sprinted into the depths of the forest, following the chain of lighting up trees. My legs were barely moving, and at some point I felt like they were glued to the ground. What a howl, a sounding, earth-pounding howl. I was paralyzed. It was difficult to even breathe. One moment my heart was pounding due to fear. The next it stopped beating for a couple of seconds. Every heartbeat was pulsating in my head. I was just standing there, unable to take a step forward. I wanted to run. I wanted to get away from this forest. My survival instinct screamed that it was the only right choice. And only thoughts of Julia made me stand still. She was there somewhere. She was probably very cold, in a place swarming with wolves, bears, and God knows what else. She needed me. Pop's voice echoed in my head. If you bear no ill will, you have nothing to fear. As if it was my permission to move, I made a step forward, again and again. I battled against snow and wind, while blurry shadows moved around at the edge of my vision. One of them was especially slim and horrifying. I felt the keen eyes of its owner on my back. I was finally able to get into some sort of clearing. Julia was there. She stood among the marked trees, her back turned to me. Her head limped to the side, and I was able to see her face. A pair of eyes shining with ominous, otherworldly lights. Trophy earned, Spirit of the Forest. Julia's body floated upwards, as if she was a puppet and someone was pulling her strings. The sky was pulsating, my eyes hurt as if I was looking at the sun for some time. My arms spread aside, and another howl hit my ears, much harder than last time. As if waiting for a signal, a flock of ravens shot into the sky. I didn't know if my nearly blind eyes were deceived by the changing colors, or by the dark stage, but I saw the form of a bear, towering over the forest, instilling awe and fear. I sat in the snow, motionless and empty. I didn't feel cold or fear. I couldn't feel the passage of time. My eyes were glued to the painfully pulsating sky, and Julia's hair fluttering in the wind. I could hear the chains clanging, and fearful voices coming from the road. Woodcutters were fleeing the forest en masse. There was going to be another commotion in town tomorrow, and all the newspapers would write about the spirit of the forest. The spirit that was right before my eyes. The bear's form suddenly became clearer, and I was able to make out its fur on its giant's paws, along with incredibly long claws. They're gone. My voice was barely audible, but that gave me just enough confidence. They're gone, so leave her be. The bear turned its head towards me. Please. It just stood there for some time. I couldn't reliably tell if it looked at me, or if it was just checking if the wood-cutting machines were really gone. Then it howled for the third and final time, and the sky lit up with all sorts of colors once more. I went completely blind for a good minute. When my sight returned, I was standing in the middle of darkness. The aurora was nowhere to be seen. A full moon and a myriad of stars were decorating the sky. The tree sigils were all gone without a trace. Julia was lying in the snow. I rushed to her side. My hands were completely numb, so I pressed my lips against her forehead instead. Freezing cold. For a split second it seemed that she was lost forever. Then she gently grabbed my sleeve and whispered, "It's so cold." I picked her up and ran towards the road without thinking. It was better than drowning in snow again. I didn't feel the weight in my hands. I didn't feel fatigue or the wind. All I could think was that Julia was cold, that she would freeze to death. I didn't have the time to feel pain. I couldn't remember how far I went and how I was able to find my house. I came back to my senses only by the time I put Julia on the couch and covered her with the blankets. Here, beside the fireplace, I was finally able to feel all the cells in my body again. They were all screaming for help, and that scream was so intense that I wanted to join them until the pain would be gone. Julia looked ghastly, her face pale, her lips blue. She was hardly breathing. Her cheeks took a long while to regain their pinkishness. I crashed to the floor by her side, in hopes that my limbs would return to form faster that way. When Julia was asleep, she didn't look like an adult at all. There was a little girl that didn't want to go to sleep in her nest, and listened to the howling wind and the clang of a hammer instead. What would have happened if I didn't find her? How much time had passed? What was up with this forest? What were those ruins? I thought before that Julia was sleepwalking because she wanted to come back home and see her grandpa. But now I was sure that it had to do with the forest guardian. Is there no music for this section, or did I lower it too much? Let's up it one. But it only spawned more questions. My head was spinning. That shadow following me in the forest. Who did it belong to? If the spirit of the forest existed, did the same apply to the water sprites, or the house spirits, or the forest witch? Why, if the forest needed a guardian, it didn't pick someone actually living here. Me. Why Julia, who was thousands of kilometers away? My thoughts interrupted each other, expanded, got louder and louder, until Julia groaned weakly. Hey. Are you awake? How long was I gone? I'm so sorry. How do you feel? I feel a bit strange, but why do you ask? What's the time? It's already past 11. Oh no, why didn't you wake me up? I was too busy with something. My head is swimming. I saw such a terrible nightmare. It wasn't the first time, but it was much weaker before. And what was your nightmare about? I was there with Grandma. She was leading me through the forest by the hand. There was an aurora borealis, and also you. Such a weird dream. Yeah, sometimes you see the strangest things in there. The forest witch was there as well. Did she scare you? No, she wasn't trying to harm me. Rather, she wanted to help. Was there anyone else? I didn't know. Maybe those eyes were just the fruit of my imagination. I could only see the bear and Julia because of my temporary blindness. What is going on with Twitch? It's being weird. Hang on. Okay, it seems like Twitch has kicked me out of my own chat. So still not having a good day, I guess. But let's keep going. I decided to keep what had happened a secret from her, for now at least. I wouldn't have believed it if I was told something like that. She also needed to rest. Did anybody come? I shook my hand. They should have been here long ago. We had to call them. What if something happened on the way here? I'll do it right away. Are you sure you're alright? Yeah, just a bit hungry. I smirked and went outside. The wind disappeared as quickly as it started. The air was still. The snowflakes, it seemed, could dance through it endlessly without touching the ground. Let me just try this. It was warm. I had an unread message from Mom, a familiar plate number belonging to her supposed driver. Everything clicked. You old bastard. I dialed Mom's number. She answered almost immediately. I already knew the answer to my questions, yet I couldn't help but ask. Where are you? I'm really sorry, but it seems like I won't make it. We're stuck in the middle of the forest, and I think it'll take a while. The car sank in snow. We've called for an evacuation vehicle, but no one knows. But who knows how long it'll take them? It's New Year's Eve after all. Hang on. Okay, so either he is the spirit of the forest, or Andrew is, or I don't know. I'm confused. I felt a yoke tightening on my neck. A yoke I was quite eager to get into, to be honest. Are you okay? Yeah, don't worry. The heater is running and I'm in my winter clothes. I also have some hot coffee and good company to go alongside it. Yeah, right. Julia poked her disheveled head from the doorway. Can we have dinner? I'm dying from hunger. Her stomach growled in confirmation. I made a yeah, sure, but I'm still busy here gesture with my head. Julia nodded understandingly and went back. Do you have a female guest? Something like that. She has a sweet voice. Can you try to explain your location? I'll go pick you up. It's unnecessary. I don't know my way around here at all, and we've already called for the evacuation team. It would be really awkward if it arrived here and we were gone. I can at least pick you up. Seriously, drop it. Spend the evening with your guest. Me and you will have plenty of time later. I didn't reply. I had no desire to press it further, but I didn't want to leave her in the forest either. Is she a good girl? Seems like it. I'm glad. A moment of awkward silence followed. Well then. Hey, Mom? Huh? Do you like salads? That's sweet. We've been talking for roughly 20 minutes. I realized that only when I looked at the watch. Julia sprung up when I came back. What took you so long? Did you talk to Grandpa? No, I only talked to Mom. You've been talking to her the whole time? Yeah. And? Everything's fine. She squinted and looked me straight in the eye. I'm serious. That's wonderful then. I could only shrug to that. I guess. When will she come? She's not coming. What? But don't even ask. Everything's fine, but she's not coming tonight. Okay, we still have to call Grandpa. He's not coming as well. Julia fell silent. Confusion flashed through her face at first. Then came enlightenment and embarrassment. Great, it seemed like I wouldn't need to explain anything. Tick-tock. Tick-tock. The wall clock reminded us of the time. It's almost 12. And we still haven't had dinner. Sorry about that. It smells delicious. She proudly puffed out her chest. I know. Too bad we won't be able to taste every dish. Why? Fireworks. Or did you forget your promise? Right now? Julia nodded. She was quite serious about it. Just don't expect too much. They're pretty old. Grabbed a pack of fireworks, and Julia took glasses and a bottle of champagne. Hang on. Let me just... It's really bugging me that Twitch is not in the mood to cooperate. Okay. It might be working a little better now. Maybe. We went outside. The treetops were engulfed by moonlight. Full moon. After that spectacle of light in the forest, the stories from her grandma's book didn't seem comical at all. They sure resembled fairy tales, but now I took part in it myself. I already forgotten how beautiful this place can be. You can even see all the stars. How much till 12? 1 minute. I was destined to be madly in love with this girl, and I was happy that I decided that before the rare magic made that choice for me. Go. Placed the fireworks into the snow, lit up the fuse with trembling hands, and returned to Julia, fumbling through the snow piles. She handed me a glass of champagne. I'm so glad to share this moment with you. I looked at her completely speechless. Her cheeks flushed from my intense stare. I was lucky to meet her. No matter how long we knew each other, she'd still be as cute, smart, and bright, as loving towards her grandpa in the winter holidays. I never imagined my future. Couldn't see myself surrounded by family, but all of that was so easy with her around, almost too easy. I only needed to close my eyes to picture our future kids and our dog. Evenings we'd spend beside the fireplace, walks in the woods, Mom and Julia sharing their women's secrets, and Pops coming in to see his great-grandchildren. All of that came to mind. As well as the giant tree we'd spend hours decorating, taking breaks for hot chocolate and cookies. I saw her smile, and for that last part I didn't even need to close my eyes. I wanted to look at it forever. And if this ancient firework will go off, if there's going to be at least one little spark, A loud clap rang out. The fiery rocket sprang into the sky and shattered into a million of bright pieces. I could see every single one of them in Julia's eyes. Come on, make a wish. I didn't have to think for long. If there was a single person that would enter my world and stay there forever, it should be her, the granddaughter of a weird-old man, cute and funny bear girl with a bottomless stomach. I gulped my champagne in one go. Stay with me. Julia blinked in surprise, and I used that opportunity to draw her close and steal a kiss from her. Trophy earned, reunion. This was the brightest day of my life, and if every day after this will be the same, if I would be able to see her smile, I'd love to relive this life a million times. My lips didn't part until the last flash left the charred firework box. Please stay with me at any cost. I kept kissing her until the red and green sparks no longer lighted the sky. And when she was finally able to... Of course. I didn't even get to finish that last sentence, but sure. Well, that was a cute game. Hi! Twitch is being weird. I'm not sure all of chat is visible right now. There are icons missing. But, yeah. They didn't always have these super... Oh my god, is that their baby? Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Cheers. Still just water. Yeah, chat disconnected me for like quite a while. I missed you so much. I want to ask so many things. We'll have plenty of time left. The most important part is that you're nearby. We'll meet soon. Yes, but... I just can't wrap my head around it. Why did you sell the house? And what's wrong with that? It's our house. You told me our family would live there for centuries to come. Remember how you told me that I would raise my children and grandchildren here? I do. You will. And why? Happy New Year, Julia, my girl. The end. Okay. Oh, there's the cursor. I like this picture. That was the beginning of the game. That was the first trophy. It's very pretty. It does need someone to go over the text one more time though, but it's very pretty and it's really cute. I thought it would be a little longer. It's only been 2 hours and 15 minutes. But I also didn't know it wasn't going to be voiced. Yes. So I think I'm actually going to call it a day here. Thank you for hanging out. I mean, Twitch is being frustrating anyway. It's been weird all day. So yeah, let's just hope for better luck on Monday when we continue Bug Snacks, and on Wednesday we continue Virtue's Last Reward. Start fresh with, well, not fresh, but start with a new path and try to actually not get soft locked. And next Friday we start Subnautica. And I will try to get the green screen to work better and not be this zoomed in by then. But, yeah, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2021. Bye.